Hello, 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 hello. Hopefully, everybody can see us. We had a little technical difficulties.
Yep, we sure did. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Well, hopefully, everybody, whoever's in here, can you guys hear both of us? See who's in here yet. I hardly recognize any of those names.
Well, could be a band hammer kind of night.
I don't know. So, Mr. JS Twitch, he's ready to go. Subscribe for 33 months.
Yeah.
What a guy.
That guy's he's an epic loser, that's for sure.
Oh man, you're so negative. This is a positive,
just about him.
Positive feed, man.
Is that what you
We
call it?
are. We're very, very positive around here.
I'm glad to hear it. Very positive. I love everything. I'm
I
excited.
even got rid of my bushy goatee that I had going on. It's getting kind of Grizzly Adams looking.
You know, winter's over. It's time to probably clean that up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, when the wife starts making hints, hey, you're getting a little bushy over there. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, maybe we're still waiting for people to come in.
All right.
They want to talk. So you were painting the other day.
And we're actually assembling, assembling. I got that crazy pirate force that I'm trying to put together. I assembled an on her, which I think I'm going to find a way to proxy as use as a proxy for a goblin.
Okay.
And then I assembled an enforcer. I think that's the big dog in points now. Did you say that?
Yeah, after the points redo, the enforcer is the biggest point one in the game now.
I think he's 1140 or something.
I think so.
Like that.
Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about.
I was looking at those. I don't know if you could picture him in your head, but his guns have the arm-mounted cannons have those raised ridges all the way around them, like going from the front to the back all the way. I think when I paint that guy, I'm going to try and simulate sort of like high energy pulses by painting like a really high, bright bluish white spot and then fading out and then doing another one. So like there's energy oscillating up and down that tube. It's kind of my thought for that guy.
I'll have to. If you remind me, I'll show you that picture, that one that James Wapple painted of the. Not the dictator, the imperator. He did that with the arms on that thing because it's got kind of those marks on it too, with kind of a blue and white kind of pattern. It was pretty cool looking.
So that got me to thinking while we're waiting for people to pop in. And I hate to bring up like big 800-pound gorillas, but I was thinking about how in CAV there are lots of people have Macs, lots of people have PPGs. There are some of the weapons are really widespread. I mean, the only ones I think of as rare are like IDCs and things like that. And I've always wondered why, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's just my perception bias, but why there isn't more of like a common theme throughout the same style of gun. It seems like Macs look different all over the place. And I'm not really complaining. I just, I had that idea to paint the Enforcer's guns, and I was like, it made me think of plasma weapons in Warhammer 40K and how for the most part they all have a similar design strategy, right? There's always that little glowy tube part on top of the gun or somewhere that people can show off their OSL abilities and whatnot. And it just occurred to me that in CAV it's very different because like the Macs don't all look the same. And I wonder, was that a conscious decision? Did that just happen kind of by accident because you had lots of different sculptors that interpreted things differently?
Well, the main problem is because there was a lot of miniatures that were sculpted before there was a game. So a lot of those just got done by the sculptor or whatever at the time that they were doing. And then once that cat was out of the bag, as new ones were designed, at the time, we weren't really cracking down on people to try to do the same thing. We tried to do better with recent releases as far as trying to keep a more of a consistent look to the weapons. I know with the missiles and the rockets and everything. But yeah, no, it's not anything that was done intentionally. It just happened, and So I think one of the ideas as we go, as we switch everything over into dual cast, and come up with, updated models for some of the older stuff or whatever like that, we'll make some conversions on them to try to get them more one of a kind,
to bring them more in line. Yeah. So I think what I'm hearing is that you would like to see some more commonality in the styling of weapons across the different models. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, so that you could look at the weapon and really know what it is. I'm not saying that they have to be cookie cutter, but there needs to be some elements that are unique to that particular kind of weapon, so that it may not look exactly this Mac and that Mac, but at least there's an element there that that's a Mac.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that completely. I feel like that would help. The game's got 100+ models in it. I certainly can't look at a model and tell you what's on it unless it's one of my favorites. I always have to look at the card, and it would be advantageous if I could look down and say, oh, look, it's got those railgun-looking knobbly bits on it. That's going to be a Mac for sure. And at least in my head, I'm like, okay, I know it's got the extra crit chance, and I know what ballpark I'm looking at when I see my opponent's model, or even when I'm trying to pick out a force, right? Like I could just scroll through the models on your website and go, oh, that's a Mac. That guy's got a particle bolt gun. This is obviously rockets are pretty obvious. I think you've done a good job with rockets and guided missiles for the most part. Although you have kind of changed that up a little bit in some of the most recent.
Yeah, we kind of adopted a new look so that missiles look like, so that you know what missiles are and you know what rockets are, and have kind of stayed with that as we go across the board. Now, I will say that it's not necessary for them always to be the same length or the same caliber or anything like that. There's obviously you've got your light, medium, and heavies, but it's just like, if you go back and look at all the cannons that the different tanks used in World War II, obviously they all do the same thing. They shoot a shell and try to go through armor, but the length of the barrel, the caliber of the barrel, the size of the shell, all those things are variables, so we still try to keep with that.
Yeah, I agree completely. It doesn't. We're not looking for. Let me back up and say that it's not my game. I'm just a customer. As a consumer, I'm not looking for a uniformity, but just like a design element that says to me railgun, particle bolt gun, IDC, stuff like that.
No, we're trying to do better. So and we've done better here on the more recent stuff, because it's something that we try to have a little better control on, and Chris, we've got so many Chris sculptors, but Steiger is very, very anal about that. So he's fixing that for us. He's making the rest of us fall in line. So
that's a good thing. It's funny you mentioned Chris, because I've got a painter that I'm paying to paint some of Allison's models. And he's doing some 3D printing for me and stuff like that. And his name is Chris. It seems like Chris's are everywhere.
Chris is the big name in the hobby industry. Every time I turn around, it's Chris this, Chris that.
Yes, I agree. Okay, good Lord. I tell you what, people that design the software think they're doing a good job, but they're not. Like I tried to click on something in the chat, and now I can't get back to the chat. Good Lord.
Now you've done it.
Anyway.
You've blown it up. Well, right now the chat's pretty quiet. We've got some. There's some people hanging out in the room, but they're not talking. So.
I was just assuming those people are bots. Obviously I don't know. I hope they're not. I hope they're people that are here to learn about the game. But when people don't say anything, I'm just like, probably somebody's script or something just parking in here.
And part of the problem is if because we switched, and this has been for a while, you have to be a follower in order to type anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to subscribe, but you do need to follow the channel to be able, and because that cuts a lot of the bots out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So if you're in the room and you're listening to us and you're like, oh, I want to type something, all you need to do is click the little button down there and follow, and you're good. You can talk away. So follow us, man.
Encourage you to.
Start doing like the YouTube guys all the time. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Every
God,
5
I've heard
minutes,
that.
Like and subscribe.
I don't mind. The people that I'm listening to obviously enjoy their content, and I'm generally subscribed for the most part, so I don't mind those guys trying to make a buck, or the ladies, whoever's on the screen. Make a buck if you can. I'm okay with it. If you were a street performer playing an instrument and you were entertaining me as much as your YouTube video, I would put something in your hat, no doubt. So
but that's what's the great thing here. To follow costs you nothing. It doesn't. All you gotta do is click the little button and you're good.
That's right. So let's go back to weapons real quick, because I know making, and this is really a question here. So there are models in the game that exist as rules that we don't have the physical models for, and unfortunately, I'm having to kit bash a whole bunch of those recently. And so it occurred to me, could we get some IDC arms before we get an IDC mech? I don't think there are any physical mechs, CAVs, whatever, that have IDCs. It would be really neat to know what the design, what IDCs look like. It would be great to be able to buy an arm so I could kit bash a Medusa or a Gloom or whatever I want to make.
Well, there's a James project right there. You tell me what they look like, and that's what we'll make them look like.
Okay. All right. It looks like winning lottery tickets.
Yeah. Something, like a winning lottery ticket. No, we can punch around on that this week. After, tomorrow or something, when you got some time, and we can look around and get an idea of what they need to look like. I kind of have an idea in my head, but I don't want to jump the gun.
So we talked about them a little bit earlier this week, and from the description in the rules, it seems to me like the IDC fires like an energy bullet, right? It's not a laser weapon, it's not a beam weapon, it's also not a shell. Doesn't have like a case with gunpowder or high explosives or SEPO or anything. But it kind of sounded like a ball of lightning.
Yeah, it's kind of like a pulse.
Do you have a?
Yeah, and it'd be kind of like, in my mind, it comes out of whatever the weapon looks like, and you see this pulse go between you and the target, and then it hits and kind of spreads over the, a little lightning, and like he's being electrocuted or something like that.
Okay, so just in case the non-bots in the chat that aren't talking with us don't know, tell us what IDC stands for.
It's an ion disruptor cannon.
Okay. And so in the context of the game, from the high level, without trying to actually get into the minutiae of the rules, if you hit somebody with it, they lose action.
Right. You're basically EMPing them.
Right.
So
it's sort of like a control unit. I mean, I don't even know if it does damage. I don't think it does any damage.
It does not do damage directly. It can do damage indirectly when you can't move and everybody shoots you.
Yeah. If you end up getting stuck.
Yeah, no, it's more. It's just it's designed to kind of interrupt your electronic systems temporarily on there.
Mm-hmm.
So it changes out instead of doing damage points, it does actions. So if you take a point of damage, you lose an action. If you take 2 points of damage, you lose two actions. Yeah.
And can it cost you future turns activations?
Yes.
Or is it only limited
No,
to
it
the
could.
two?
I mean, if they critted and got three activations, then it would carry the other activation would carry over into the next turn.
Okay, but if two separate units shoot you, you can't stack those on top of each other, right?
No, once you're popped by somebody, you're popped.
Does this apply a condition like hacked or burning or anything like that? Is there a word for what happens to you, or is it a different category of effect?
I think we originally had one. I think it used to be disabled or something like that. But I think with the update, it's just you're considered stationary, I think, and unable to perform any actions.
So I guess the reason I'm asking that is because I'm thinking about C3 points, right? So again, so C3 points are a thing you can have in the game as part of your force construction. You get one per squad, I believe, that you put into your force, and there are other ways to stack them up a little higher and deeper if you buy certain officers or things like that. But C3 points allow you to move things. But the IDC doesn't sound like it imposes a condition. So C3 points can't give you your actions back technically.
No. Yeah. No.
The way they could clear.
Yeah. No. It's and I think that's kind of what we kind of went in that direction. Is it's not a state anymore. It just knocks out actions. So, hi Gimli.
Yeah. Looks like Gimli showed up.
Yeah.
Hey Gimli.
Cheering.
We were just talking about you. So before we get too sidetracked, I want to ask, and I want to continue this IDC question one step further, right?
Okay.
So a C3 point can grant you an extra action, right?
Yes.
If I've been IDC'd, so I have 0 actions, can I C3 and take action?
No.
Or does the C3 point get consumed? Does it take off a layer of the IDC effect? How do those two things interact?
I would say no, in the same reason why we don't let them stack, is once you're zapped, you're zapped. There's nothing to actually activate or change or do any different because you're already in that state or in that area. So
the only way to unwind the effect of the IDC is suffer the no actions for whatever the duration of those are.
Yeah.
Okay. So typically you're only going to take 1 or 2 points of damage at a time, typically. So you're only going to lose 1, possibly 2 actions.
Right.
Let's say you lose 1 and then you immediately activate that model, do you have to lose the first one? Do you have a choice? I mean, I don't know if it even really matters. Do I have to?
No, I don't think it would matter. I mean, you just have one.
Yeah. So you have 1 less action,
right?
To interact with.
Yeah.
So if I were knocked down and then I got IDC'd for the loss of 1 action, I pretty much am stuck just standing up, right?
Right. You would stand up and be done.
Okay. Now, technically, I could C3 point the knockdown, right? Question mark. Is that a condition that can be removed via C3?
I believe the way it's in the deal. It's just I don't think that the C3 point says that it removes the condition or a state. It just allows you to remove either stunned or suppressed.
Okay, so it's just a couple of them.
Yeah, I think it specifically addresses just those two.
Okay. All right. Guess we'll have to do I'll have to do some research and familiarize myself with those rules. Because so this pirate force that I'm tinkering with is just, like I said, a random pile of models. I I wrote a little script that generated random models out of the list of all the available models. And I ended up getting two IDC guys. I got a Gloom and a Medusa. And so it's my intention to try and play them. I've never actually ran an IDC unit. I've never actually seen one on the table. So that's why I've kind of been trying to think through the rules iterations in my mind, because, new things are always, well, for me at least, they're, like I've never used them before. So I've never really thought through how they work and how they impact the game. They're kind of a rare weapon, at least from a play perspective. I don't know how they are in the game.
Yeah. So, and talking about earlier about how things look or whatever. One of the things I'm pushing forward to right now is, even if we don't have a model yet, is to try to get everything that we have in the force list, at least get some kind of a concept drawing, and get that a little closer to being able to do that.
So I see Tiger Wraith is talking in the chat. So Gimli, it stands for ion disruption cannon. Essentially what happens is, if you take damage, if you would take damage, you instead lose action points. And Tiger Wraith, I think maybe we talked about this right before you showed up. John said that you can't, let's say your model lost all its actions due to the interaction of an IDC, you can't see through yourself in action. You're just stuck.
Well, so
that's something you said just a few minutes ago.
And to clarify that a little bit, so let's say you lose an action and you still have one left, then at that point you could use a C3 point and add an action.
Well, I mean, technically you'd have to skip an action, basically, right?
You would,
so like, say I'm activating Model A. Model A's suffered one IDC damage. So my first action, I do nothing. Now I'm clear of the IDC. I could take an action and I could C3 an action point onto that model to get my two actions back, right?
We probably need to clarify that, because don't you have to declare the use of the C3 point before you activate or something?
Okay. Yeah, there's some order of operations.
We just need to clarify it a little bit. Since I'm working on that right now, updating it for the new armored might, we'll fix that.
Yeah, we just step through that in our heads and make sure we know how IDCs interact with the other things in the game.
Right. Yeah, so C3 has to be declared before you activate, or you would not be able to use it to add an action point. Because you would start the activation. And you were talking about how they work in turns. Something else too that would cause a cross turn is if you have already activated, and then the model that shoots you with the IDC activates afterwards, you actually would not lose your actions till that next turn.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've already activated, you don't have any actions to lose anyway, right? So they would just have to take the next activation.
Right. They would come out of the next turn,
I suppose.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, no, if you're on ball with those, we'll try to make sure we figure out all the little sneak arounds for IDCs.
I mean, like I said, I didn't set out to have them, but they popped up in this random list of pirate models. Right. So I'm going to put at least one of them on the table somehow. It'll probably get shot off pretty quick, but it'll be fun.
But Tiger says that him and a Chris, imagine that, a Chris shows up, have been playing with them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Tiger, feel free to post up your results somewhere. Give us your analysis of how you think IDCs perform compared to other options.
They're one of those.
Apparently, they're very good against aircraft.
They're one of those kind of weapon systems that are very unique or particular to what if you gotta think about them when you use them, because they were something that we didn't want to have too powerful.
Right.
It's more of a just kind of a FU kind of thing, as opposed to, we don't want everybody to sit there for 3 turns to get whacked, that just got kind of
right.
So, but it used in the right place at the right time, it could make a big difference. Either keep a recon guy from getting away from you or something.
that's the thing I was going to bring up. Although I was going to talk about objective plays. So John and I earlier in the week were talking and sharing some ideas about objective play, which I'm not going to get into too deeply here. But one of the things that occurs to me, like if you're playing a scenario where the objectives include things like like gathering up something and moving away with it so that it's harder for the enemy to get you, that IDC can inhibit your ability to run away and hide with whatever the objective is that you've managed to secure. I think there's a lot of options there.
Oh yeah, that is something else to take into account too. They are specialists. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. You can't have too many of them. It's not like you're going to run a whole force of them, but you can pop one or two of them in there and I don't know, have fun with it.
No, that'll be interesting. I'd like to see how it goes. But we'll get the look of a gun for you.
Yeah.
So then if you're really nice,
especially now
if you're really nice, I might 3D print you a couple.
Yeah. Like I'm going to put my foot in my own mouth here because I'm going to say thank you, and then I'm going to say thank you since I've already glued together the kit bashes.
Well, you would think you would have said something beforehand, but that's okay.
John, listen, my goal is not to bother you to work on my personal projects. You need to build CAV models and work on CAV.
Yeah, I know.
You notice I mentioned earlier, I'm paying somebody to 3D print stuff for me. I'm not asking you, even though you have the best 3D printers I know, like literally the best ones I've ever seen in my life. I'm paying somebody else so that you can stay busy on CAV.
I'm busy. And it's crazy, but I'm working on 3 different games right now, and actually getting stuff done.
Because one wasn't enough.
Apparently not. It just what's helped more than what really helps is the fact of when you're working on 3, you can work on one, and they're different enough that you can then I'm tired tonight of working on this one. Let's work on this one, and then you're ready to get back on the other one.
And so, just to name that's Armored Might.
Armored Might is going to be
Lords,
the
right?
new universe
for CAVs. The fantasy game's name is
Iron Lords.
Iron Lords. Okay, and then you've got the RPG. Is that the other game?
Which is got the working title of Vanguard right now.
Vanguard.
Yep.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, it's hard to come up with good names.
And when you
Everybody took all the good names.
Yeah. It's going to be like websites going forward. Vanguard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And what sucks is all the good names that they haven't used for 30 years. I'd love to call a game like Star Frontiers or something, but
Yeah. Somebody still owns it.
Yeah. Maybe they'll come back someday.
Gimli, you're so right. The RPG, just to confirm, it's a sci-fi RPG?
It is. It is a science fiction RPG that will be set in the Armored Might universe.
Okay. Yeah. I thought I'd heard you say those words before, but now you have a fantasy game. It's like maybe he's going to make something that'll play fantasy and sci-fi. Just turn the switch to pick the flavor you want.
Well, my hope is that the Iron Lords rule set, as I'm working on that, I am thinking of a sci-fi version of it as well. So
hold on. You just said as you're working on the Iron Lords rule set, you're thinking of a sci-fi what?
Yeah, so a sci-fi version of that type of game. So as I work on the rules, I try to look at a rule and see if if I write it, will it work both as a fantasy and a sci-fi rule? And at the end of the day, it may not. And we may have to do something different. But if we can make it work for both, that would be great. That's the biggest problem you get into. Me and Chris Lewis was having this conversation today. So when you're doing a fantasy game, the emphasis is on close combat, okay? Because usually it's swords and everything like that. And ranged is basically arrows and magic spells, okay? Whereas the sci-fi game is the exact opposite. Almost everything is ranged with close combat being kind of a secondary to that. So it may not always work out together, but we'll see.
So just to clarify, because I'm an old man and I've gotten a little confused, are you suggesting that in the future there might be a sci-fi infantry game that parallels Iron Lords? Okay. So four games.
Sort of, three and a half.
4 games.
Yeah, because it may not work. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, happy accidents.
But I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if Iron Lords can take some seasoning and become sci-fi lords or whatever you wanted to call it, why not? Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. I mean, some of my favorite role-playing games are the ones where their mechanics can run any genre. They're genre agnostic. The hero system is my favorite role-playing game of all time. It's it started out with Champions, a superhero role-playing game, and then it became literally everything. Danger International and Golden Age of Heroes, and then Fantasy Hero. You just name it. They for a while they made a version of Champions that did everything.
No, Tiger, I am not revisiting Cry Havoc, but there will be some Cry Havoc elements that are going to be able to cross over into Armored Might with the new universe.
Cool. Yeah. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah, I would love to do Cry Havoc, updated and everything, but it really is going to be, the things that I want to do is going to be covered in Armored Might. Well, we can't talk about that. There may be some Mars in Armored Might coming up. Who knows? Mobile assault robotic soldiers.
So were those like elementals or something?
No, they're like an android or like a battle bot.
Okay.
Droids
in a CAV scale game or a different scale game?
They're like more people size, maybe a little bit bigger.
So we're talking like, yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is, in the context of the game, were they like infantry for CAV, or are they like soldiers in a skirmish game?
They were. Cry Havoc was basically a skirmish game. So they were. So if your normal figures were like an inch tall, most of the Mars were like an inch and a half tall.
Okay, so it's an infantry game, not a mecha game.
Right.
Okay. I was confused. I've seen Havoc. I've seen the book for Havoc, but I'm not real familiar with it. I didn't play I never really got into that game or anything. So I couldn't remember if it was a CAV style game or a.
You were probably like 15 years old when that game came out, so I don't blame you.
Oh my gosh, 15, John, that would mean you were like 11.
I know. It's been it came out a long time ago.
Yeah, but who made it?
I did.
You didn't make that game when you were 11.
I did.
Did you really?
It had already started in my mind. Now, let's see. Cry Havoc was released in 96. So 23, 27 years ago.
Yeah. I was out of the military, and we had our second daughter that year. So I was not 15.
Yeah. I was trying to make you feel good. Make you feel like you're younger than you really are.
Don't bother. It doesn't work. I've tried it.
Okay.
I'm old. It's okay.
So anyway, and I've been trying to get on Discord more and kind of talk and show stuff as I'm working. Mm-hmm. So trying to be a little more out there with things. One thing that I do want to talk about is the new infantry figures.
the sexy little dudes.
Yeah. So as part of with our new capabilities and whatnot, and also the original light armor, which was sculpted by Bobby Jackson, and the original power armor, which was sculpted by Ben Signs. Those were sculpted 2000-ish, 2002-ish, right in there. So they're over 20 years old.
Yeah.
And I mean, especially the light infantry is held up. I've never been real wild about the power armor, but so part of what we're doing is we are updating our infantry so that they are more modern looking and work a little better. So first off was the light infantry. And we have got those done. And the other thing that we are doing is there is a team blue and a team red. So they are a little different as far as helmets and their shoulders and things like that. So that if you are wanting to have opposing forces that don't just look cookie cutter, it gives you the ability to paint them up a little different. So,
Okay. Gotcha.
But we've got, so Team Blue I got loaded up today. I'll have Team Red up tomorrow. But I'm gonna pull these up here, and we're gonna look at the new infantry here. Maybe.
Hold on, I gotta move my phone where I can see it.
If we can get it to pull up now.
Yeah. Don't rely on technology, John.
I'm telling you. Let's see here.
Better go with magic this time.
Properties.
Better go with magic.
Possibly, maybe.
As long as we're wishing. I'm gonna talk while you're clicking.
Okay, just a minute. I gotta make sure coming up here.
Okay. So this is just wish listing. It's just me. Like, if I could wave a magic wand and get anything I wanted, I would love to see some bigger than powered armor infantry that are roughly the equivalent of light vehicles. That would be pretty cool. Just bipedal light tanks. That would be pretty sweet. But that's just me wish listing.
Yeah.
And vamping.
I wish for lots of things too. All right, let's see now. Why does everything always have to change?
Because people move things from folder to folder when they're not supposed to.
Well, this was actually supposed to be simple, and apparently I'm incorrect. Okay.
Simple as an illusion.
Yeah. So we're going to try it again. See if we can make it work.
Man. Uh-oh.
We're getting there. Let's see. Now we just need it to fit on the page here. Let's see. Fit to screen. Okay. So. All right, so they get to see our side head here. Or can we do this here? Can we make this do like this? Yeah, there we go.
Put it to the back.
There you go. Now we got it. Now we got it working. Okay, so these are the and I can't see chat. So if somebody says something, you're responsible for chat right now.
I got it.
Actually, I guess I could have looked at it on my phone. All right, so these are the new light infantry, Team Blue. There is they come on a sprue. There's 4 figures on a sprue, and you get 3 sprues. So there is the officer or an NCO that's holding a SMG and a pair of goggles. And then there's 3 guys with assault rifles, and each guy is on a different pose, as opposed to usually it's the same guy over and over and over, but these actually have their own unique poses.
Shazboo likes the way they look. Says they're cute.
Well, and and one of the things too you have to take into account is when we're dealing with these smalls of figures, we have to kind of overemphasize things, and it looks funnier in the up close, but when you actually see the actual figure, they look great. They're awesome, man. And I mean, I know I'm biased, but next up are the heavy weapons. So we have the tripod mounted, the heavy magnetic accelerator gun. We have a SAM launcher. We have a laser bolt gun and an anti-tank launcher. And there's 3 sprues of those. So you get 3 of each of those guys.
These are way better than the old metal
models. Yeah. The laser bolt guy actually has a laser bolt. He's got the cable that connects it to the backpack and everything.
Yeah. Let's see it.
So, yep, very, very happy with them.
So let me ask you a scale question, and it's not really about the size of the guys. It's that base that those 2 guys are sitting on. Is that like a traditional CAV base?
Yes, the hex base.
Okay. So it looks to me like maybe 3 guys.
4. All 4
could fit on that base?
All 4 of these will fit to a base if you want to.
But what if I wanted to put a bunch of the laser tripod-y looking guys on there? They seem like they might be a little bit bigger. Their footprint's a little bit bigger.
The guys the tripod weapon has a bigger base because of the tripod.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay. Nope. I just wanted to double check and make sure that was the scale size CAV base.
Yeah. No, those are 30 millimeter bases there.
Okay, sweet.
All right. Next up are the light mortars. So you have 2 guys that are sighting up the mortars ready to launch, and then you got a couple of guys that are bringing them additional cartridges to put in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy some of these infantry. These guys are sharp looking, John.
Team Blue.
And so Team Red has the same options but different scopes or different
they have different helmets. I believe that their faces are fully enclosed, and then their shoulders are different.
Okay.
Team Blue. Yay, Team Blue.
Yeah. Gimli says they look much better than the metal ones.
Yes, I agree. These are the light infantry with medium mortars. So little different guys, but bigger shells. And then lastly, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I didn't hear, or I didn't pay close enough attention. The earlier models, have all these models so far been light infantry?
Yes.
Okay, so we still have heavy infantry and powered armor infantry at some point in time to see?
Well, the heavy infantry's already been out. Those were originally done. That's the 72, 308, 309, 310, 311.
Okay.
Now, and I believe that those are red team now, so there will be a blue team of heavy infantry coming. And then we're still waiting for the power armor. The new power armor is not ready yet.
Gotcha.
And then a brand
Have
new
you seen
pack.
those? Oh, wait a minute. What do we got now? What?
This is a brand new pack. These are light infantry with SMGs, including one that's throwing a grenade.
These are good looking models, Sean. I like these a lot.
Yeah. So, and they're designed to, you can buy multiple packs and mix, if you want to put a base with an assault rifle and an SMG guy and, you can mix and match them however you want to. So.
I just complete left field, but these guys have a little more detail and a little more character, I could see these guys being in a diorama.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean we specifically designed these to make them easy to paint. They are very easy to paint for even an average painter. Everything is very localized. Any bits that stick out are raised up, so they're easier to get to. So hopefully we'll get some painted up pretty soon for people to see painted ones, but they will paint much nicer than in the past.
So now we totally need somehow in the fluff of the game, we need Team Red and we need Team Blue, with some sort of corporate faction or maybe some sort of sports team that does, like simulated combat, like the old what was it, tournament, War Master tournament.
Right.
We definitely needed Team Red and Team Blue in the game with story, with fluff.
All right, so here is the Team Red light infantry. The numbers is not right on it, but you can look and see the difference in the helmets and the shoulders.
Is that guy on the right looking through some sort of like magnifying?
Yeah, like binoculars.
Binoculars or something? Yeah. Oh, sweet. Yeah, John, these things are totally fodder for all kinds of diorama stuff.
Yep. And they are 10 millimeter scale, so they measure from bottom of foot to their eye level, 10 millimeters. All right.
That's a serious upgrade, John.
I believe. Wait till you see the power armor when we get it done. That'll blow that stuff out of the water.
So just to confirm, you have STLs or art or something for the powered armor guys. You've seen them.
Yes. Well, I've seen the concept drawings. I have not seen the final ones yet. Gotcha.
Is this? Can you tell us the sculptor?
Chris Lewis.
Okay. Yeah, he's good. I like Chris's stuff a lot. I'm a big fan of his sculpting. And Chris Lewis in general. He's a pretty nice guy.
But,
as long as you don't disagree.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well,
sorry,
we're down. Hey, look at that. We killed 55 minutes. We've got 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
We're doing good tonight. We haven't had to repeat ourselves.
Yeah, well, no, not at all. Talk about a lot of things too. It's kind of interesting. I liked it.
And
we need to bring more fluff. We need to have a fluff session, John. You need to bring some fluff for us.
Well, I can.
We want to know what
I can tell you. A couple of the new factions in Armored Might. There is the Avalon League.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
And the Ryuza Imperium.
Interesting.
I mean, nice names.
Yeah. Can you just give like a couple of keywords that might go with them? Is one of them like a bad guy, worse than the other, more powerful than the other?
Just depends on your point of view, I guess. But
John, just tell us.
Think for the Ryuza, think Japanese. If you like Japanese stuff, so that's where Mitsuta will end up, the corporation over there.
Interesting.
So
are these is this Asian faction? Is it on Earth or is it off Earth?
Well, they all started on Earth, but they're their own section in space now. Yeah.
Right. So they're not headquartered on Earth. They have some place out.
Earth has been pretty much abandoned.
Okay, that's right. I forgot you said that.
Yeah. And then, like I said, the Terran Federation, that'll come over. The Adenese is coming over. The Ritterlich is coming over. The Templars are coming over.
Yeah.
So.
The Rock.
No, not. I haven't figured out. Well, so there's something I'll tell you after we're off. Okay.
Okay.
that I've decided to do.
I promise I won't tell anybody.
Yeah, you can't.
I promise I won't tell anybody.
They'll cuss me. And then I don't know if everybody caught that. So, we had talked in the past about the RPG going to use one of the existing systems out there. With all the recent hubbub with the open game licenses and these guys doing this and those guys saying this and whatnot, we decided to branch off and do our own. I kind of had a base design that I'd done in the past, so we're kind of taking that a little further and going with it. And it's I'm pretty happy with it so far. We actually have stuff. We actually have a rule set already. That will be. I think what our plans are is we're going to do a Twitch stream game one night. So get you and a couple other people and run through a scenario for people to kind of get an idea of it. But the basic system, it works down as successes and failures. It's a dice pool system. So you have 3 dice. You have white, red, and black. And white has 2 successes. Red has 3 successes and black have 4 successes. And then one of each of those successes is a critical. So you get a dice for the stat, you get a dice for the skill, and you get a dice for the equipment. And then depending on the difficulty, that's the successes that you need to equal or exceed to be successful. So
I like dice pool systems much better than just. D20s are fine for what they do. I love D&D, but I much prefer dice pool systems.
It's all D6s, and the other cool thing about it too is for like criticals, so you have a dice pool, and you start the game with. It's kind of like our C3 pool. So you may start with 3 points, 5 points, or whatever that's in it. And you can use those points to buy extra dice. And that critical spot that's on each dice, anytime you roll a critical, you add a point to that pool. So later on, when you need to pull another dice or a better dice to make your success more probable, you can use those points to add to your dice. So.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, I think, I think it averages out. Generally, you'll only be rolling 3, 4, 5 dice at a time, so it's not like you're going to have 20 dice that you're going to need. But I'm pretty happy with it so far. I think everybody will like it. So keeping it simple.
Cool.
Any last minute questions that anybody wants to throw out there? James, you have any closing remarks?
I would love to at ReaperCon, if it's at all possible, I would really like to be able to maybe play a demo or of the RPG. That'd be fun.
It is our plan at CAVCon/ReaperCon this year that we will have CAV games, we will have Iron Lord games, and we will have Vanguard games.
Oh my gosh. John, you're not sleeping between now and ReaperCon.
No, we're not. It's going to be a Talon Games extravaganza. Kaboosh. We're going to blow your mind.
Was that Beastie Boys song, No Sleep Till ReaperCon?
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I think we're ready to call it a night, boys and girls.
All right.
So we will see you next week. Peace out.
Take care.